everyone, I'm Don Pratt, host of a show here on Rogers TV that gives you a perspective of police in your community. Welcome to Policing York Region. We're going to shoot directly over to a quick video clip to bring in today's show.
Maybe you've seen it on the street, somewhere in your neighborhood, under a set of flashing red and blue lights, or in the shadows behind the yellow tape. It's at the forefront of innovation. You'll find it day or night, no exceptions, because the people who wear it answer the call when there's no one else to turn to. It's always on the scene, worn by individuals who don't want to be stuck behind a desk, whose skills earn them the right to wear it every single day. It stands for integrity, leadership, and teamwork. It sticks around long after others have gone to bed, and its very presence makes your street a safer place. Our crest is more than just a symbol. It makes a difference in our community, a lasting impression. It's a badge of honor for those who inspire the next generation. Don't pass up this chance. This is your time to realize your potential, to step forward and earn your badge. This is your time to wear the crest.
What a great way to bring in today's topic of recruiting at York Regional Police. So today I've got Sergeant Greg Connolly with the Uniform Recruiting Unit. Did I say that right?
That's correct,
Uniform
yes.
Recruiting Unit.
Uniform Recruiting Unit.
We were talking earlier about recruiting at York Regional Police. There's a couple of different methods of recruiting. So there's uniform versus civilian?
Well, there's actually the Uniform Recruiting Unit is not only responsible for the hiring of police constables.
Right.
We also hire the auxiliary members.
Okay.
Auxiliary members. The student cadet program that we have installed in the last year and a half.
Yes.
We also are responsible for court security officers, which are special constables.
Right.
And we also assist the York Region Transit. We assist them
that's
in.
Quite a large umbrella then. It's not just the uniforms that we see out on the street.
It's not just the uniforms, yes.
So maybe take us through that process then. What is somebody says, hey, today I want to be a police officer. Where do I start?
So if you want to be a police officer and you want to apply to a police agency in Ontario, the first thing you have to do is you have to get what's called an OACP certificate.
Oh, it's OACP. What does that stand for?
That's the Ontario Association of Chiefs of Police.
Okay, so you make application for this?
No, there's actually, if you go online and you look under the OACP certificate, it breaks down the requirements of obtaining an OACP certificate. There is testing that's involved in getting the certificate. There's written tests. There's also some analytical testing that is done. There's also a what's called a PREP test.
A PREP?
Yes, and that is a physical readiness evaluation for policing.
Right.
And that's a physical component.
Yes.
And you have to pass all of the components to successfully obtain an OACP certificate.
Okay.
The OACP certificate allows you to apply to any police agency in Ontario.
Okay. Okay. So now you're ready to make application?
Now you're ready to make application. You can do it one of three ways with York Regional Police. You can apply online.
Okay.
You can bring the application in person, and you get to meet a member of the Uniform Recruiting Unit if you come in person.
Okay.
Or you can send it in through the mail.
Oh, fantastic. Okay, and we'll have some of that information up on the screen for people to contact. I mean, of course, one direct way to get any of the information is yrp.ca.
That is correct.
We also have your phone number and extension that people can contact.
Right. Right.
So, what all happens within now? We're talking about the process. I've made application. Where do I go?
So the first thing upon submitting your application is we need to confirm that all the documentation is there that's required.
Right.
There is a checklist if you go online to the yrp.ca and you go under recruiting and careers for a police constable. There's actually a checklist to tell you exactly the documents that we require.
Okay.
So you have to make sure that all the documentation is provided.
Right.
Once you apply, then the application comes to our unit. Now, it is a competitive process. A number of candidates believe that once they put in an application, then automatically they're going to get a phone call and they're going to move to the next stage in the process.
Yeah, they might have just set themselves up for disappointment.
That's correct.
Yeah.
That's correct.
So, and I just wanted to touch on that a little bit. When we talk about people applying and those that actually get hired, it's not a huge percentage.
It is not. We receive on average close to 1,000 applications per year.
Wow.
Last year we hired 100 officers.
Holy.
So if you break it down, it's about a 10% success rate.
Yeah.
As I mentioned, it is a very competitive process.
Yes.
We look at every application that comes in and compare it against every other applicant.
Sure.
So it is a very competitive process, and you're being compared against every other applicant who applies.
So you really are looking for the best of the best.
We are, absolutely are.
There is no need for accepting anything other, right?
That's correct. That's correct.
So I've gone through, I've made my application, somebody at YRP's received it, and hey, I'm one of the lucky ones.
One of the lucky ones. You will get notification when you apply that we have received it. And
Okay.
if you're one of the fortunate ones that move on to the next stage in the process, then you will be invited in for what's called a PBQ, a pre-background questionnaire.
Okay.
And this is something that candidates really can't prepare for, because it's all about you, the candidate.
Okay.
It talks about your history, your driving history, your work history, your school history. It talks about everything about you. So there's not really anything that you can do to prepare for it, because you're talking about yourself, what you've done in your life, up to the point where you applied.
Wow. So probably a good time to enter into the conversation of looking at people's background.
Yes.
Your work history, your school history, perhaps your behavioral history is paramount.
It absolutely is. We understand that people make mistakes.
Yes, of course.
We accept that.
Yeah.
The biggest thing that an individual can do is take a look at their application and see exactly what they are providing to the organization, what they're bringing to the table.
Right.
We don't look for one specific aspect in an applicant.
No,
it's
fair enough.
it's the totality of what they bring.
Fair enough.
Certainly we look at the schooling.
Yes.
We look at your work history. We also look at your life experience.
Yeah.
You know, what you've experienced throughout your life up to this point. We also look at your community involvement.
Right.
That is very important to York Regional Police, being one of the shared values being community.
Yes.
All of our officers give back to the community, and we expect our applicants will do the same.
Yeah, I can speak from personal experience with YRP. They're huge on community service. They're huge on volunteerism.
Right.
And they do embed that in their employees as well.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
So there is an expectation, even once you're on,
That's
that
correct.
you're going to be involved in some level in your community.
That's right, because in the policing profession, you are dealing with the community at large on an everyday basis.
Yes.
So certainly giving back to the community, being that individual out there that's readily identifiable. And certainly we're not asking an individual to go out and do hundreds and hundreds of hours of community service each month. No. But we do look at how much community service they're providing and how much volunteering they are doing compared to all the other things in their life. I understand that people are very busy.
Sure.
A lot of applicants have, families,
Absolutely.
schooling, that type
families,
of thing.
careers, schooling. Yeah, any number of things can take up our time, but there's always a bit of time for your community too.
Absolutely.
Right? And that is an expectation.
Yeah.
And a note that I heard a couple of years ago from one of your recruiting officers was, don't lie on your application.
That is the worst thing you could do.
Right? Like people want to, and I get it. Like if somebody, I did a goofy thing when I was 17 years old. Put the goofy thing down.
Exactly. And we can discuss that. Certainly if you were successful and got to an interview stage, you have an opportunity then to explain the circumstances surrounding what it is that you did. Yeah. Certainly we're looking for an individual that admits to their mistakes, but also prove to us that you've learned from the mistake.
You've bettered from it.
That's correct.
Right? You're not. It's not. Just like you said before. Everyone's human.
Yes.
You do make mistakes.
Yes.
You've carried on, and you're trying to better yourself.
Right, and the worst thing someone can do is try to, if that little voice in the back of your head is going, maybe I should put this down and tell them about it, you should. Believe it or not, we do investigate individuals.
Well, and I guess too, it's fair to say that, I mean, you're entering into, or at least you're looking to enter into employment with a trusted agency.
Yes.
So if you start off with mistrust,
with your integrity in question, and again, integrity is one of the shared values of the organization. So
it's a really big one.
Yeah, if you're going to lie on your application or in your pre-background questionnaire, that's certainly someone we do not want to be part of York Regional Police.
No, absolutely not. Now, you said that last year you hired somewhere around 100
officers last year, that's correct.
Wow, that's a huge number.
Yes.
Right, and
yes.
we're going to talk a little bit more about that when we get into the second segment on just how many officers you're looking to still hire.
Right.
And with that, folks, we will wrap up this segment, and we'll be right back with Policing York Region and the recruiting unit. See you in a minute. Welcome back, everyone. We're chatting with Sergeant Greg Connolly with the Uniform Recruiting Unit, and we've been talking everything about how you would go through the process of becoming a York Regional Police Officer, some of the steps that you maybe need to go through to get there, and kind of wanted to talk a little bit about some of the stuff that you've been doing in the community. I see it on I get your Twitter feeds all the time, and I see your news releases and that. Women's symposiums.
Women's Symposium, yes.
This seems to be a growing trend initiative with YRP.
Yes, it is, and it's actually a concept that started, I believe, back in 2011.
Okay.
And since that time, the Uniform Recruiting Unit has hosted a women's symposium each year. Right. And what this allows is females who maybe have had an interest in policing or how to get into policing. Yes. It allows them an opportunity to come and spend 2 days with members of our Uniform Recruiting Unit, and also some officers, some female officers in York Regional Police, and they provide you with an insight into how they were able to obtain success in becoming a member of York Regional Police. Right. And we also provide them with an opportunity, as I mentioned, to speak to members of our Uniform Recruiting Unit. They may go through like a mock interview, yes. And they also do on the second day the practice prep, as I mentioned about the OACP. This is
the physical piece.
This is the physical piece.
Right.
We do have our own prep equipment now.
Right.
It was purchased earlier last year, and we have the prep equipment now so that individuals who want to come out and at least attempt the prep test can do that free of charge. And
I understand with the prep equipment, you were saying it's portable.
It's portable. So we do go around to different venues within the region. We do have it on our recruiting website as to where we're going to be. We set up the equipment, and we have sessions that you can register for to come and give it a try and see exactly how it is that you fare in the prep test before you actually have to pay money. Right. Because to obtain your OACP certificate, there is a monetary value for that. It's sure. So before paying that money, you need to come and try it out, because it's a little bit different than the standard PIN test. The PIN test.
What was the PIN test?
The police fitness test.
Oh, right. Okay.
So it's the PIN test that has been a standard for police agencies over the years to gauge your physical fitness.
Right.
But you can research that online and determine from your age how many push-ups you need to do, the shuttle run, various components such as that.
So these are a standard, though, that's been created. This is
A standard that's been created.
These aren't just something that, you know, a physical fitness instructor has said,
No.
hey, I wonder if you can.
No.
There's actually a standard across
Yes,
Ontario.
yes, that's correct. And the prep test is a little bit different than the pin test in that there are different machines. There's, you know, pushing and pulling and simulating handcuffing a suspect. So it's different muscles and different things that you'll be doing.
Well, like we were saying in earlier discussion, you're actually putting people to task that they might see as an officer.
That's correct, that they'd experience out in the road if they're dealing with individuals. And
It's not just how many push-ups can you do.
It's not just how many
chin-ups you can do.
That's correct.
But it's actually how your physicality
yes,
works.
It's
emotion.
comparable to what you'd be doing on a regular basis out in the road.
Right.
So it's a little different. It's not something that you could readily practice at home, whereas the pin test, you can practice that at home. You can practice doing your push-ups. You can practice, you know, doing your run. These are different types of athletic measures that you need to go out and certainly attempt to sort of gauge your physical ability and where you're at.
And they must be popular. As I said, I follow your feeds all the time, the Twitter and that. And the ones that I can remember of recent anyways, you get the, sorry, we're full.
They fill up very quickly. They fill up very quickly because people want to come out. They want to try out, gauge their physical fitness as according to the prep test to see if they're ready to apply for the OACP certificate. Because each time you apply and you're tested, regardless if you pass or fail, you still have to pay a fee.
Oh, right.
And then there's a waiting period if you were unsuccessful in any of those tests that you have to wait before you can attempt again.
Right. Yes. Yeah. So it's you're not applying tomorrow for something that didn't work yesterday.
That's correct.
Right.
That's correct.
I understand there is a waiting period. So we've talked everything about you know, the application. You know, make sure that your background is reasonably clear and own up to it if it's not.
Right.
We've made an application and we've been accepted, and now I guess, is there an interview stage?
There is an interview stage. So as I mentioned, the first stage is the interview stage. Second stage is the pre-background questionnaire that you would come in and fill out.
Yes.
Then if you were successful, you move on to the interview stage.
Okay.
Okay. And the interview can last anywhere from 3 to 5 hours. It's quite lengthy, quite involved. Okay. Obviously, we're going to go through your pre-background questionnaire, question by question, go over all the information you provided just to confirm that all the information is true and accurate and that you haven't left anything out. And as I mentioned before, this will give you an opportunity if there were some incidents that you may not be proud of from earlier in your life, you have an opportunity to explain to us. And it certainly gives you an opportunity rather than just on a piece of paper saying, this is what I did. It gives the officers or the interviewers an opportunity to gauge exactly how serious the incident was, their involvement, and as you mentioned before, you know, going forward, have they learned from this and have they shown us the ability that they have learned from that?
Right, yeah. And so moving forward, it's been a great day, and I've passed through the interview stage.
So then you go to a psychological assessment.
Oh, okay.
You would come into our uniform recruiting unit, and it's online. And you would, once again, it's depending on the individual. We don't put a time limit on it, but it can take anywhere from 2 to 4 hours usually for the assessment. So it's answering a number of questions. And once again, for this stage, there's nothing that you can do to prepare yourself. You come in, you answer the questions honestly. The data gets sent to one of our doctors, and they'll call you in for an interview. They'll arrange a time when you're available. You'll go in and you will sit down with the doctor and go over the assessment, and they will interview you, and they will make an assessment on whether they feel that you have the necessary traits and going
Yeah, because it's
forward.
not just physical, right? There's psychologically you have to be prepared.
That's correct.
To do the job.
That's correct. So they will make an assessment on that and determine whether they believe that you are an individual that could do the job.
Yeah, because there's a lot of moving parts to it, right?
Yes.
You folks deal with a lot of stuff that that we otherwise wouldn't be aware of, right?
That's correct, yeah. There's a lot of things that police officers and really any first responder is exposed to on a daily basis that the general public is not aware of or would not have a...
Thankfully, we're not.
Yes, would not have a reason for them to be exposed to.
Yeah. So, again, another good day. I've gone through that, and I've passed the psychological evaluation.
Yes. Then you would go into the background stage.
Okay.
And your file would be assigned to a background investigator. Yep. And this is where we would reach out to your references that you provide us with, and we'd also speak to your present employer and previous employers.
Right.
And we would again get an indication of what you're like as far as a person and
you want to gauge their work history.
Exactly. And we'd also reach out to some of your past teachers from your educational side to see what you were like as a student in class and how your educational component went.
Wow.
So it's a very in-depth investigation, and once again, it can take a number of weeks, depending on what's in your background and what we've uncovered.
Well, I guess that's another element to it too. I never asked was how long is the process? So from the day that I've decided I would very much like to apply to York Regional Police till the day that I'm proud wearing a uniform.
Well, actually, that's a good question because it can vary from candidate to candidate. But the average individual, from the day that they apply, normally it's about a 2 to 3 month timetable for them from the application, the day they drop off their application, if they were to be successful in the entire process. It's usually 2 to 3 months.
Right. Now, there's some external training as well.
Yes.
So you have your, we've been accepted at all of these levels. The Ontario Police College, is that your next step?
Well, your first step would be if you were successful and you were given a conditional offer of employment, meaning that your file was reviewed by the chief, and he would like to offer you employment. You would start off at our training and education facility.
So internally?
So internally, yes. Before you go to the Ontario Police College, you would do 4 to 5 weeks of training with us, with our Training and Education Bureau, before you go to the Ontario Police College.
And what kind of training would that encompass? You said 4 to 5 weeks?
4 to 5 weeks. They would do, obviously, continue with your physical fitness. Physical fitness is a very important component. They would also review some of the criminal code offenses and sort of expose individuals to some of the things that they will be teaching or being taught at the Ontario Police College.
Right, okay.
Yes. So it's 4 to 5 weeks, and certainly York Regional Police candidates, and it's certainly something that has been known throughout Ontario, are some of the best prepared individuals going to the Ontario Police College.
You take the time ahead of the
We take the time ahead of the Ontario Police College to bring our individuals, because some of these individuals have never been exposed to the criminal code or the laws. And this is an opportunity to introduce them to that type of thing, introduce them to note-taking and various other components.
So you're kind of giving them some pre-education before they even...
Pre-education before they even get to the Ontario Police College.
And so I've gone through that. Now I'm at the Ontario Police College, and so that's a continued education.
Continued education. It's 12 to 13 weeks, or approximately 60 days at the Ontario Police College.
Wow.
They will go through the entire training process, learning federal statutes, provincial statutes. They will do defensive tactics. They will do physical training again. They will be instructed in marching. Yeah.
So the Ontario Police College, that's a standard for all police services in Ontario.
In Ontario, that's correct. Yes.
Right. That's where no matter what, you're definitely going there.
That is correct.
Okay. So ahead of this, do I need formal education to get into policing?
Well, as I mentioned at the beginning, it is a competitive process.
Yes.
We look at each individual applicant in the totality of what they bring in their application. So obviously education is one component that's very important. The minimum standard being a grade 12 Ontario Secondary School diploma. Certainly if someone has a college diploma or university degree, that would certainly bring them up to a little more competitive level. But also, as I mentioned before, work history, community,
Right.
life experience.
Yes.
So it's the totality of what an individual brings to the table that, and there's no magic formula that we say, okay, if you have this, this, and this, you're going to be successful.
No, but it makes sense, and it really, in any employment standard, it makes sense that, you know, if your resume looks better, then that's it.
That's right.
It looks better.
Yes.
Right? You simply stand a better chance, right?
Yes.
We were talking earlier about auxiliaries. You said, I didn't realize that uniform recruiting was also responsible for bringing in auxiliaries.
Yes.
Approximately how many auxiliaries would you bring in a year?
Normally anywhere between 20 and 30 auxiliaries, depending on the needs of the auxiliary unit. Now, the auxiliary officers, they're a volunteer component.
Yes.
And certainly we would recommend if someone is looking for volunteer hours and would like to sort of get an idea of policing.
Sure.
They've never been exposed to policing. This is a great avenue to start off.
It's a great way to start. And a lot of those auxiliaries move into being officers.
Absolutely, they do. Yes.
Greg, thank you so much for being on the show.
Well, thank you
always
for
love to
having
hear
me.
about recruiting.
Yes.
All right, folks, that wraps up this episode of Policing York Region. For more information on the show, rogerstv.com. For more information on York Regional Police, yrp.ca. It's been great having you. Look forward to seeing you again.